Good Mom and Monday. You're here at the Mistake Mama podcast. I'm Kaylee.
And I'm Mandee.
And we are your hosts. This week, we're going to be talking about how we handle other people's parenting styles when we're hanging out or when we are getting advice, unsolicited or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That summed it up pretty good.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay. But first, our wins, our fails, and our books.
Do I have a win?
I do. It's my birthday.
It is Kaylee's birthday.
Yes.
So when you guys see this, it will be a couple weeks past.
Yep, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
About 3, yeah. I'm 25 now. I'm still a baby of the group, but
she's a quarter.
I can now rent a car.
That's so weird. Because you can have a whole ass life before you can actually rent a car.
I've been married for like 8 years.
Yeah.
I've got 3 kids, and now I can rent a car.
I wonder why the age is that way. I feel like it should be case-by-case basis after the age of like 18.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I think it's because they're like, oh, people under 25 are more likely to get in an accident or whatever. And I mean, I guess, but I don't feel like that should be a blanket.
I feel like they're more likely to get into an accident where it's their fault.
Yes.
But I feel like there's still the same probability if you're going to get in an accident.
Yeah. I've never gotten in an accident where it was my fault.
Right.
I have been in 2. One of them I was rear-ended while I was stopped. So there's not a damn thing I could have done about that. And then another one I was sideswiped while I was passing. It was like passing one of the shopping centers where we were living, and someone just literally peeled right out of one of the exits of it and just hit me as I was in the lane.
Of course they did.
I tried. I like saw them like as they were about to hit me, and I tried to get into the other lane, but I didn't get it in time because they literally were just like, I'm gonna
crash into you.
And they were like, I didn't see you.
Get out the way. I've been in one and it was my fault. Wasn't paying attention.
Mandee, were you under the age of 25?
I was.
So you were part of this.
I was actually like 6-month post license. I was pretty fresh.
I will give you grace. You were pretty fresh.
I'll
give you graces.
And it was raining.
I will definitely give you graces.
I had a car that didn't have great brakes.
Okay, fine. You get a pass.
But it was my fault. I will still say it was my fault at the end of the day. Okay, well, my win. What would my win be? I guess I helped my brother like through his orientation, and I was gone. So on Thursday, today is Sunday. Today is Sunday.
Yep.
Was I there Thursday? Yes, Thursday.
Because you went there twice.
Yes. Thursday, I've been busy.
I see that.
Thursday, I was gone from 9 till 7-ish. And Michael had both the kids that whole time.
You were gone from 9 in the morning till 7 at night? Mm-hmm. Wow.
And the kids did really good.
Good job, Quincy.
When I got home,
Maverick too, but...
Right. When I got home, they both were like a leech. They're like, Mom.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Where have you been? And then the second day, because I was going to be gone longer, I took Quincy with me. So we were gone from 6:30 a.m. till 6-ish. We were gone from about 6:30 till about, I want to say it was, might have been closer to 6. I think it was 6, yeah. So almost 12 hours.
Wow.
So I took Quincy, but she did really good there.
Nice.
So it all worked out.
When I saw his post about orientation, and I was like, he made some friends quick, because I was like, who's taking his pictures? And then I saw him holding Quincy. I was like, oh, okay, Mandee was there.
Yep. Yeah. I was taking all of his pictures. He was like, I need you in charge of pictures because I have an iPhone and he does too. My mom has an Android, and they send kind of weird between the Android and the...
They do.
Yeah.
It's like as if you were taking a picture on like a Nokia.
On the world's crappiest phone.
Literally.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
The only way Michael and I have been able to get around that is if we send one picture at a time. Oh, and even then, sometimes it still is crappy.
You may be able to mitigate that by using Google Docs.
Probably.
Just upload and then he downloads from it.
Probably.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a win. It went really well. And this time it wasn't emotional dropping him off because we already went through that. And I told my mom, you have to be strong because you start crying, I start crying. And so she held it together. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is he settling in good?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, he
That's
really
awesome.
is.
Love it.
He really is. He's anxious to start classes because he wants to make friends. Mm-hmm. Because right now he's like, I'm kind of just lonely up here, just trying to navigate everybody and see what everybody's into and stuff. So,
yeah. And I mean, he's working at the Starbucks there. He'll meet tons of people just doing that.
Yeah. And apparently like 7 people work at a time, he said. Like every day he's been there, there's like 7 or 8 people, he said.
Depending on how big the Starbucks is. Did you see it?
Yeah. So it is an inside one. It's inside there. It's called the UC building. It's University something.
Whatever.
Center. University Center.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Or community.
And it's... So it's like their cafeteria where they can get their food and stuff. And then they have like a little, it's almost like a convenience store. And then right around the corner from that is their Starbucks and their bookstore.
Is it like a normal size Starbucks? Mm-hmm. Then yeah. I mean, it would make sense then. Especially if they anticipate serving quite a few people. Mm-hmm. I can understand you. Because like when I worked at Starbucks, granted, we had a drive-through. Mm-hmm. I imagine they do not.
No.
We always had one person in the back in charge of like dishes and restocking. We had one person who was doing the ovens or they're not even technically ovens. I don't know what they are. The toasters.
Like a toaster oven.
Kind of. But industrial, I guess.
Yeah.
There was usually 2 people on bar, one person drive, obviously, and then one person up at the cashier. And then there was almost always a manager in the back.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I don't know how many people that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
So that,
makes sense.
It tracks, at least as far as mine.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I know because they're college students, they can only work a certain amount of hours at a time. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But it went good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My win.
I'm excited to hear this.
Okay, so you've been working on like potty training and stuff.
Yes.
We have tried just like taking the diaper off and having him just like sit on the toilet every now and again. Mm-hmm. That was not working. Mm-hmm. He just wasn't understanding that he was needing to pee. And so I was like, okay, how about instead? Every time it's time to change his diaper, so every 2 hours or so, this is how we're starting it. Mm-hmm. It's going great. I have him sit on the potty.
Okay.
Like before the actual diaper change. So like I'll be like, all right, take the diaper off, go sit on the potty. He has been peeing consistently every single time.
Nice.
I know.
That's so exciting.
I am so excited.
Oh, yes.
And he gets excited now. He'll be like, oh, okay. And then he'll sit there and he'll be like, I'm doing it. Oh, and he gets so excited.
Yeah.
And this last time, so right before I came here, took his diaper off. It was a dry diaper. And then he went pee on the potty.
Nice.
And then we put another diaper back on him. And then he'll be doing that again around noon. So Thomas will probably be in charge of that. But we've been consistently doing that.
That's exciting. And how many days has it been?
3 consistently so far.
Nice.
So not a ton yet, because I only made the decision. Good. Yes. I made the decision because in the middle of the night, the other night, he woke me up at like 2 a.m. And he was like, Mommy. I come in there and he's laying down with his arms up sideways on his bed. And he goes, diaper change. I was like, why are you even awake? Okay. Changed his diaper. And I was like, do you want to go sit on the potty? No. I'm like, okay. All right. But you need a diaper change. And it was pretty wet.
Right.
I'm like, let's try this tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we did. And he was reluctant at first, but now he gets excited because we do the sticker thing.
Right.
And he finally used up an entire thing of stickers. And so we moved on to another one. And so it's going very well.
Yay, Damon.
I know.
That's so exciting.
My other one.
It's so exciting when it clicks.
Yes. I'm so excited. There's an end in sight now.
Yeah, you're like, I'm doing everything wrong. What am I doing? What am I doing? And then all of a sudden it clicks for them and you're like, I've done it.
Yeah, exactly. My other win has to do kind of with my birthday again. Thomas got me, it's called the Ember mug.
Is that the one that stays warm?
Yes.
Ooh.
Nice. It's so good. It's a copper color. It's copper. Nice. It's beautiful. And I used it for the first time this morning. I knew he got it like 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Because we saw a video where Call Me Chris was like doing a review and that happened to be one of the things. And I was like, that looks awesome.
Oh, yeah. I've been wanting one for a while.
I have one and it is so amazing.
Does it make your coffee like too hot?
You can control the temperature with an app on your phone.
Because I was worried because like I pour my coffee and then I let it cool for just a teensy bit. And then that's how I like it.
I kept mine today at 135 and it was hot, but not burn your tongue hot. It was
Okay.
like a nice temperature. And you can cool it down all the way to 121 before it's no heat at all.
Okay.
And then up to 140.
Okay.
So that's a range.
Yeah.
You know, and I liked it. It suggests to start it at 135 and then to play with it depending on your preference. And it also gives you a guide, and you have this templates in the app where you can be like, I have a green tea, and boop.
Oh.
And then it'll change the temperature based on the tea. There's even like a steep timer and like everything.
That's cool.
Oh, it is so cool.
I like that.
I will put a link to this down in the description because I really do like it. It kind of seemed gimmicky when I first saw Connie first talking about it. And I was like, fingers crossing that it actually worked. And I was very impressed with it this morning.
Nice. Yeah, because the reason I've been hesitant to get it is because I wasn't sure. You good?
Yeah.
What?
Nothing. We're good. I just all of a sudden started to be able to smell the cat litter box. It just kind of wafted right into my face. And I was like, that's unpleasant. I'm sorry. It's okay.
We'll have Michael start taking it out.
It's all good.
I've been hesitant to get it because I always thought it would make my coffee too hot. Or like, you know how when you do drip coffee on a coffee pot and you let your coffee sit on the hot plate too long, and then at the end of it, it's kind of like, that's a little burnt coffee. I was hoping it wasn't like that.
No, not at all. It was so nice. It definitely doesn't heat up your coffee. You have to heat it up before you put it in there.
And it just maintains.
And then it maintains it. Okay. It is so nice.
Nice.
I literally was sitting there for like a good hour and a half. And it was hot, steaming the entire time. It was so nice.
I'll have Michael, or I'll put it on my Christmas list.
It's fantastic. They have a travel mug too.
I've seen that one. And I was like,
I want it
that
now.
one would be perfect.
That's like my
because
Christmas.
that's the biggest problem is traveling.
It is.
Because I have
and that
travel
one lasts
mugs
for 3 hours without charging.
Ooh,
and
nice.
they have a car charger for it that you literally just set it on there. And then so the coaster for the mug, you just set it on the coaster and it charges.
Yeah. Nice.
So you can literally use it all day long because it only has 80 minutes of battery life. But if you just set it on the coaster, then that kind of mitigates that. It's so nice.
Nice. Because I have travel mugs. It's either it goes cold in like 2 seconds or it's boiling hot the whole day. It never cools down.
Yeah, what is it, the Yeti?
Oh, yeah.
Ones? Those ones just stay boiling.
I have one Starbucks one. It's stainless steel, and it is... I feel like it heats it up.
I agree.
I don't know how, but I feel like it does.
Yes. Like, I love his Yeti one if it's perfect temperature when you first put it, because the Yeti one's like Thomas's.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great when you put it in there at the perfect temperature, but if it's not the perfect temperature, then it is just chaos. And like, I guess I'm just keeping my hands warm today.
Yep. I always have to unscrew the lid and let it like air out.
Me too. So then they're like,
yeah. Oh gosh. Oh,
that is too funny.
that is super funny.
Do you have any fails for me?
I mean, I guess Maverick had an accident yesterday when we were up at a barbecue.
Oh no.
Pooped.
Oh.
We were outside and it kind of just like TMI, but it kind of just rolled out of his shorts.
Okay.
So I mean,
all right.
it wasn't the worst accident that could have happened.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the only fail that comes to mind right now.
that's funny.
I'm sure there's something, but that's it. That's all
That's
I
really
got.
funny.
Oh, I do have a fail.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
scratch all that, Mandee. I
All
got
right.
my fail.
I mean, we're gonna leave that in. That's funny.
My car AC. Do you remember all the drama with my car AC? Like last year when I had to get a whole new compressor that was
Yes.
super expensive. So towards like maybe a month ago, my AC works really good on the driver's side.
Okay.
The passenger side, kind of a little bit not quite as cool.
Okay.
The back, a little bit even warmer. Okay.
Okay. Following.
So Michael took it in. They said there's nothing wrong with it. It's just probably just because it's super hot. It was around those hot days.
Okay.
So then I was like, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe it's just because it's super hot. Whatever. So then a few more days go by. It's still doing that. So Michael takes it back in and they're like, well, the compressor's fine. So there might be a small leak in one of your hoses, but we don't have time to check that. We'll schedule a new appointment. We'll refill it for you. So they refilled it. And then the next day or maybe even later that day, kaput.
It just stops working.
Right after they filled it.
Okay.
So now I have no AC in my car.
At least we're not in the... I mean, we're still kind of in the apocalypse of summer, but...
We moved the kids' car seats to Michael's car. Because I'm just not
probably
about
for
that.
good reason.
Yeah. Yeah, so now
That
my car
sucks.
is blazing hot.
That sucks. Ugh.
And the soonest appointment that they had, which I'm going to be calling around, I think, is October. So when I don't even need it anymore, probably.
October?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yep.
Okay.
But I think it's still under warranty because they just did the compressor last year. So if it has anything to do with that, I should be able to get it fixed.
Which, I mean, hopefully it's the compressor. Because then it's under warranty versus needing something else.
Yeah, and that's why I want to call around to like get another opinion, but I'm probably going to have the work done with them because they are the ones who have been dealing with it. So I want to make sure that if it's their fault, they are paying for it and not me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the warranty is probably only through them.
Probably. So yeah, no AC in the heat in my car.
That sucks.
Yeah.
At least you guys have another vehicle for the car seats.
Right, yeah.
Because, like, if something were to happen to my car, we are double screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have another vehicle that can hold all the car seats.
Right. Guess you're riding in the back of the truck, kids. Get a
Guess
cool
so.
breeze. Or a hot breeze.
I was going to say, I think that depends on how fast you're going.
Right. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get that fixed, but that's a bummer right now.
Sounds like a bummer.
Yeah. Do you have any fails?
Mm.
The fails are harder today.
They really are. I guess like the most fail-ish kind of has to do with what we talked about last week, is that we really wanted to go outside yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just still too hot.
It was pretty hot.
And then by the time we were like, okay, I think we can go outside, it was like dinner time. We were trying to do dinner and nobody could decide on dinner. Some people were hungry, some people weren't. And then dinner ended up spanning like an hour and a half of just like, I'm going to have chicken. I guess I'm going to have this. I'll have this. I'll have this. And then it was like, okay, it's 8 o'clock. Time for bed.
Guess we'll try again tomorrow.
Yep. So we'll see. I mean, today's what? Supposed to be hot. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, not as hot as it was, but 86
The
is still hot.
breeze has been kind of nice, so it hasn't been terrible, but I will agree I'm ready for the cool weather.
Yeah.
Which this week it's supposed to get down to like mid-70s, so
that'll be nice.
we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Getting there.
We're getting there.
All right. Do you have any change in books?
I'm on the second book of that triad series. I'm halfway through the second book.
Which triad again?
Remember I told you about the weird, like, kidnapping gangster smutty book?
I blew that out. I'm sorry. Yes, I remember.
Yeah. So now for the different parenting styles.
Yes.
We have kind of touched on this a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I officially hate the term gentle parent.
Yeah.
I just hate it.
I hate it too.
Of how it's been changed and manipulated and overused.
Yes. And used so wildly incorrect.
Mm-hmm. To where you're just, your kids walk all over you. Yeah.
It's been, the people who don't understand it think it's permissive. Mm-hmm. And it's not.
Right. So, so I tend to think of, I treat my kids with respect. I treat them like humans, and I still discipline. Mm-hmm. Or I guess there's a better term for it now, but I don't even.
Well, no, discipline, I think, is the correct way to put it, because discipline is just teaching self-restriction in a sense.
Right.
You're just not smacking them.
Yeah, I'm just not hitting my kids.
Like, it's really
That's
that
what
simple.
it comes down to.
Like, I still yell at them every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I'm not hitting them, and I say sorry when I fuck up. Mm-hmm. Like, and their consequences are, they follow the 3 R's. They're related, they're reasonable, and they're respectful.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to sit there and shame my kid if they, have an accident and say no TV for the rest of the day, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I definitely try to correlate whatever the discipline is with the action. Mm-hmm. If you're throwing your toys, okay, those are mine now.
Yeah.
You can have them back later. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. just a forewarning, the following conversation is fairly controversial, and we do have some strong opinions on the matter. So moving forward in this conversation, please be forewarned and, take responsibility for your own emotions, just like we are here.
Mm-hmm. This conversation goes into spanking and hitting your kids is the main dive in that we went into.
Yes. And so come in, if you choose to move forward, come in with an open mind if you happen to be pro spanking, because straight up, we are not. And that is what this conversation goes over today.
Yep.
So proceed if you wish. If not, we will see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
But that's not always easy when you're around people that don't follow those.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's a couple different things that come into play. You either get the people who will kind of look at you like, shouldn't you be doing X, Y, and Z? And then they push their parenting ideas on you. Or you get the people who like try to take it into their own hands.
Yes.
And I feel like that's when you're crossing boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for those of you who have been listening to our podcast for a long time, me and Mandee have very similar parenting styles. Mm-hmm. We do have minor differences, but for the most part, like, if, God forbid, I were to die tomorrow, I could fully feel confident that she would be able to raise my kids exactly how I would want them to be raised.
Same.
Let's not have that happen.
Yeah, please don't die.
But, not everybody thinks that way. And a lot of people, grew up with the spanking thing, and they feel that it's best for their family. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. I am not a fan of it in any circumstance, personally. But it's not my kid, and so I don't intervene in those situations.
Right.
Like, if I'm hanging out with you and you spank your kid, I'm not going to say anything, but you're not going to see me doing it.
Right, exactly. And it's always hard because I don't try to judge anyone for how they parent, because we all know parenting is rough. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets through it how they get through it. I guess in those instances, if another parent is spanking or whatever, I never know what to do, because if Maverick sees that, because he's the older of the two, yeah. I don't want him to think that that's okay.
Yeah.
But I also am not going to overstep and be like, you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a hard...
Yeah. And that is honestly probably why I have avoided friendships with people who tend to spank. Just because, because we have a very strict no hitting whatsoever policy in our house. And, so I don't know how I would handle that situation. My oldest is 5.5, and we've never had that, come up. They've never seen that.
Right.
Though I wouldn't be surprised if Anna walked up to me and was like, I thought we weren't supposed to hit people.
Right.
And I don't know how I would handle that. Like, oh, right. Yeah, well, some parents do.
I know. Yeah, I don't know how to... I haven't had that question yet either.
Because kids don't understand the difference between spanking and abuse. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how to be like, well, in this case, it was okay because he wasn't listening. Whereas in this case, he wasn't listening, but that's abuse.
Yeah.
Because he hit him a little differently. I don't know. So I avoid those situations the best that I can.
Right.
I know that it's not always feasible to do that, because if we were at a park or something and some kid did something wrong and the parent was a spanker and they spanked their kids, well, damn, what do I say?
Can't ever go to a park.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think it varies if the person doing the spanking is like your friend, because then if it's just a stranger, I have no problem being like, well, some parents do it and I don't agree with it, and that's why we don't do it, because we shouldn't hit people.
Right.
I have no problem saying that if the person is a stranger.
Yeah.
But if that person was my friend, I don't know how I would handle that situation.
Yeah, that would be harder to navigate.
I personally don't have any friends who spank. The ones that I think don't have kids.
Okay.
And I don't know if they even want any.
Yeah.
But the people that I still consider friends that do have kids do not spank their kids and are very against it. So, it's a weird weird boundary.
It is. And I guess for me, I always try to lead with, I don't want my kids to fear me.
Same.
And I know that a lot of older parenting styles, that's the like, call it respect, call it fear, whatever. They want you to know that I am the leader, like I am your boss kind of a thing. And I would rather guide. Yeah. And I don't want my kids to ever be afraid of me. Do I want them to respect me? Yes, just like I respect them. And if I say something, do I want them to listen? Of course. But I don't want them to only be listening because they're scared of me, because I feel like then that leads into more bad behavior.
Exactly.
Or hidden bad behavior.
And the idea of respect me because I'm your elder, I feel like that opens up some scary doors. I saw this thing the other day. It was like, different versions of what people think respect is. And it's like some people see respect as I am your authority, you listen to me, whereas other people see respect as human decency. When one person is so used to respect, meaning power, I have power over you, and then they're like, if you don't respect me, I don't respect you, when in reality they mean, if you don't treat me like your authority, I'm not going to give you human decency.
Right.
And it's like when you have two words that in the same sentence mean two different things.
Right, yeah. It's such a weird dynamic.
And I've never liked the respect your elders thing. Granted, when I was a kid, I followed it because I was expected to in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah. And I think it's warranted in like most situations, as far as I go into things just respecting others.
Exactly.
Like I'm going to respect you. I'm going to treat you like the human you are. I'm not going to be rude or anything like that. So I agree with it in that sense, but I'm not going to just go in and blindly listen and follow. Yeah.
I see it more as like a respect your peers.
Right.
Than respect just because they are older than you.
Right. Yeah.
Which is the way that I see it. And I also don't think respect is earned. I think that a basic level of respect should be given upon first meeting somebody.
Right.
And then adjusted.
Right.
If somebody earns additional respect, then by all means bow down to that person, whatever you feel like you need to do.
Yeah.
And then somebody can lose respect. And then at that point, that's when I feel like it can be earned back.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, if we go off of this, respect is earned, you don't get respect off the, am I just going to go smack a barista because I have no respect for her? I've just met her.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to walk up to the counter and be like, give me my fucking coffee, bitch. I have no respect for you yet. I don't know you.
Right. Well, and I feel like then it puts,
like, what does that mean?
It gives you the dynamic of like everybody else is below you.
Exactly.
And I don't like that. And I don't want to raise my kids that way. And I don't want them to think that way. Yeah. I mean, if they grow up and do, then I did something wrong.
Yeah. So I always think of it as, treat everybody with respect, treat everybody kindly, be nice to everybody. If you're having a bad day, deal with that yourself. Do not put that off on other people.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree.
We are all human.
Yeah. It's just hard when other people have that parenting style, because then you run into not wanting people to like watch your kids if they don't have the same parenting style. I trust you because we have similar parenting styles. I trust my mom. She pretty much raised me the way I'm raising my kids, maybe like small minor differences. But my mom is also somebody, well, one, she's my mom, but two, I can tell her, this is how I'm doing something, and she respects that.
Yeah, my mom's the same way.
Yeah. And so there's some people that, I think would still respect my ideas and how I'm raising my kids. But then there's other people that I feel like behind closed doors, it could be a different story.
My house, my rules, or
yeah,
whatever.
I just would never want to put my kid in that situation. And it's nothing against how they're, parenting their kids. It's just, I don't want that for mine.
Yeah. And it can be really confusing too. When kids are shown other parenting styles, some like, especially those that are so contrasting. I'm not talking about like, let's say somebody does participate in corporal punishment and then their kid goes to a gentle parenting household. I don't necessarily think that the kid would have any issues in that regard because they're not seeing more, they're seeing less. Right. Whereas the other way can be very harmful to a child. Because like if I went over to my friend's house or something and my friend did something wrong and they get spanked right in front of me, and let's say I'm not growing up with that, that's going to be terrifying
Shocking.
to me. I'm going to be fearing for my life.
Right. Yeah. And I just would never want to put them in that situation.
Me either.
Or potentially put them in that situation, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And that's where like sleepovers and that whole thing gets complicated because like I remember, I don't think we've talked about it since we started up the podcast on the reboot, but I know that we talked about it previously in the original version of the podcast, the sleepover situation.
Yeah.
Sleepovers are a no-go.
Yeah.
You are probably the only person that like with Damon and Maverick and then Quincy and Ellie, probably the only people that they will spend the night with.
Right.
I'm sorry, Anna.
Yeah. No, I pretty much agree with that. I think special circumstances could arise. If I knew that parent and got to know that parent really well, or if they did have the same parenting style as me, I could see allowing it at an older age.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty much like no go at this young age.
Same.
Just because I know that kids, even if kids don't have bad intentions,
no,
they don't go into anything having bad intentions. But kids are curious. Kids explore, and that can lead to dangerous situations that they don't even know they're being in. You know,
yep.
It could be very innocent, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they absorb so much.
Yeah,
and 99% of it they do not understand. They have zero concept of. And I feel like that's something that adults don't fully understand.
Right.
Is that they'll be like, oh, the kid gets it. No, they don't.
Right.
They are regurgitating what you said.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they understand it.
Right.
And that they would be able to conceptualize it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
The kid understands that when they get hit or when they're in trouble, they get hit. But they don't understand why. They don't understand that it's discipline. And then that creates like the sneaky kid thing.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. And that's the same reason why I don't allow like kids to be alone with other kids. Like my kids alone with other kids. Doesn't matter who. I mean, Damon and Anna and Ellie, I feel like I let them be alone for like half a second. Like if they go back to the room or they come back, but I can hear them. Yeah. And the door is open. I have an open door policy with that.
Yep. And we listen and Anna comes running out and she's a tattletale.
Yeah, exactly.
In the best way.
Right. Yeah. I would rather, honestly, she be than not. Same. I mean, sometimes you're like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. But I'd rather say it's fine than her to never say a word, you know?
Yep. I'll be like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
I always be sure to say that because then it encourages her to say it again for if something happens again.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But I'm definitely not go let all the kids play in the room, close the door. They're all in there doing their thing. Yep. You just never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
And maybe I'm an over like helicopter mom when it comes to that, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Same. Ugh. It's so complicated. And then like, you know, we were talking about how, you know, if somebody were, you know, let's say your kid's acting up in the grocery store or something, and then you get just this random person being like, you know, you need to spank them, right? And it's like,
that's not what we do.
Yeah, and then they look at you like you're this just horrible person.
You don't parent at all. You just let your kids run wild. Yeah. Kids are meant to be kids. Kids are loud. Kids are curious. Kids like to touch things. Kids like to run around and expend their energy. That's what kids do. Does it drive us all nuts? Yes. Because we don't do that. But that's what they are. And I think as a society, we've been taught to like shut our kids down. Our kids should be mindless drones who listen to every single word we say, and you need to sit and just be quiet.
Seen, not heard.
Yeah. And it's just, that's not how I want it. Sometimes do I yell and be like, just stop. Yeah. Yeah, because I get overwhelmed and have my moments. But I try to just lead with, be a kid, you know? If we're in a grocery store, yes, please don't throw all the cans off the shelf. But also, like, you don't need to be silent sitting here, you know, and if you have a tantrum, I'm not going to scream at you in a store or, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
People have this mentality of keep them quiet. I don't want to hear them. Yeah. Or like going out to restaurants. Ugh. If your kid's having a meltdown, you know, perfect example. This was actually a good one, but we were at Dylan's college registration stuff. Orientation, not registration. Anyway, and we were in one of the classrooms and they were having a seminar about safety and stuff. And I sat in the back. I had her stroller and whatever, and she was asleep for most of it. And then she woke up and she was happy, but she was happily
loud,
making a lot of noise. And everybody was just, they would turn around and I'd be like, I'm sorry for the interruptions. And they're like, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Like everybody was super, super nice about it. Mm-hmm. And then, like the guy stopped his thing in the middle and he's like, I have a question. Because it was while he was asking questions, he was like, how old is she? To the back of the room. I was like, 9 months. And he's like, well, she's very cute.
That's so sweet.
And so those situations make me feel good. Mm-hmm. But then we went to another seminar and I sat in the back and she was kind of a little bit more fussy than happy. Mm-hmm. And everybody turned around and not one person smiled or said anything and then just turned right back around. And I was like, I'm going to go outside for this one, Mom. And it just, I don't know, it makes you, I get they're there for information. They don't want a screaming baby. And I have no problem leaving in that kind of a situation. Mm-hmm. But it just, those kind of situations, you're like, my kid's just being a kid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's how I felt when I went to the Jeff Dunham concert. And mm-hmm. Ellie was little. And so I had to take her. And because she was still very much nursing like every 2 hours or so. And I would have been gone for like 6. Mm-hmm. And in the line, people were just like, ugh.
You brought your baby.
This bitch brought a baby. The workers were so nice. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, she's so cute. They would like come by because we had to wait outside for quite a while. Right. Come by and they would give her a little smile. One person was like, oh, you're so cute. You know, being like all sweet or whatever. We got to our seats and the people who sat around us were like, okay.
We're in for the long haul. Right.
I don't remember I don't think anybody said anything until afterwards
mm-hmm.
because she was great. She had like the tiniest bit of fussing right at the end, mm-hmm. but I was able to pretty much keep her calm.
Right.
Afterwards, some people turned around and they were like, we were really worried at first, mm-hmm. but she did really good. I was
mm-hmm.
like, thanks.
I know.
Thank you.
And that makes you feel so good.
It does. Oh, so good.
I just wish that it was more understandable for when, let's say, she wasn't.
Yeah.
And everybody, instead of being like rolling their eyes or whatever they would have done, like looked to you and been like, you did a really good job. Mm-hmm. You know, like we get it. We understand. Because mm-hmm. I think the majority of people have kids or have had kids around them mm-hmm. know that kids aren't just quiet all the time.
Yeah. I'm the type of person that like if I saw a kid having just a meltdown and a mom was just freaking out, mm-hmm. I'd be like, do you need any help? Do you want me to go get you a coffee? Like, can I help you? Yeah.
That's like in the grocery store. If ever I see a mom who's just like struggling real
losing
hard,
her
like,
mind.
You can see the look on her face of just like, I just need to get out of this grocery store. Uh-huh. I'm always like, you're doing great. And she'll look at me. She's like, thanks. I'm like,
we all need that encouragement.
Yeah,
we do.
It's a struggle. And when people have those expectations of how your kids should be, it makes it worse. Because you don't have them until you see other people have them. And it almost makes it worse because now you're like, okay, I'm messing this all up. I look like a bad mom.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And you're not.
And you're not.
You are so not.
Yeah.
But that's not how the rest of the world sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's one thing when a stranger says something, but it is so different when someone you actually know says something.
Right.
Like, that just feels like a punch in the gut.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know about you, but, like, if somebody says something to me, and it's, like, a fundamental thing that I am not going to change, mm-hmm. I am forever looking at that person different.
Yeah.
As in, like, not necessarily being like,
right,
but, like, every time I bring my kids around that person, I'm, like, on edge.
Right.
Like, are they going to say something else? Yeah. Are they going to be rude? Are they going to judge me? Like,
yeah.
Because I try to say that I'm not somebody who cares. Mm-hmm. But in my core, things hurt my feelings.
Right. Of course. And it almost makes you want to, like, nitpick your kids' behavior then.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, don't do that. Stop that. Stop.
Not right now.
Yeah. Do that later. And they're just doing like their normal everyday
Uncle Bob
things.
is here.
Right. And they're just looking at you like, I do this all the time. Do you have an Uncle Bob?
I don't think so.
I don't have an Uncle Bob.
I tried to use a name that I didn't have, but then I was like, wait, do I? I don't think I have an Uncle Bob. If I do, I'm not actually talking about you. I don't think I do.
I don't.
I'm pretty sure I
know for a fact I don't. Well, I mean, maybe somewhere.
I'm pretty positive I don't. But if I do, I'm sorry.
Family book.
John? I don't know. What Uncle something. Sam. Nope. That's something else entirely. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Aunt Sally, like,
get out of here, Aunt Sally. Yeah, it's, ugh. Those are the hard times to navigate.
It is. And then friends. Friends are a hard one. That's almost worse than family.
Mm-hmm.
So much worse than family.
Yeah.
I remember I was having this conversation with this one girl once. It was before she had kids. She has kids now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's also no spanking. But she was telling me about one of her friends is a spanker. And she was telling me about this time where she was like hanging out with this friend. And she like ended up having to spank her while she was at my friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so uncomfortable.
Very.
When something you are not comfortable with or you are fundamentally against happening in front of you, but it is still something that is socially acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like,
it's a very hard place to be in.
It's very hard because, like, you say something, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
You don't say something, you feel like an asshole.
Yeah. You go home with the guilt.
You do.
Yeah.
You go home with so much guilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard one to navigate because, like I said, everybody parents differently.
Mm-hmm.
I, to my core, believe that we shouldn't be hitting our children. And I think we call it spanking because spanking sounds better, but you're still hitting.
You're still hitting them.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's under the guise of consequences.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I've ever watched somebody spank their kid and that person not look angry.
Right.
You know, because it's a thing done out of anger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how you can hit somebody and claim to not be angry.
Right.
Because frankly, it's a violent action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I don't hit my kids.
Right.
I have never hit my kids.
Right.
You know, there have been occasions where I've swatted their arm away from a hot burner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's reactionary.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not doing it because I am upset with their behavior.
You're doing it because you're trying to keep them safe.
Exactly.
From whatever they're trying to get.
And I think that that's the big difference there between the disciplinary styles is how you are responding and how you are controlling your emotions.
Right.
Is, you know, we have a lot more control of our emotions, in my opinion, because we are not letting our emotions dictate how we do things. Yes, we let loose a little bit, and that's why we end up yelling. But I feel like you have to lose a lot of yourself in order to hit somebody else. I mean, if we hit another adult, we're mad at them. Right? You're not just hitting somebody. Like, if your husband forgets to wake up on your birthday and make you breakfast, Thomas. Just kidding. I mean, I am, but I'm not. To be fair, he worked a night shift.
Fair enough.
Like, I'm not going to go smack him for it.
No.
Like, you didn't listen.
Right.
You promised me you'd make me breakfast.
Yeah.
And then you didn't.
Because then you would be
Smack.
seen as you're in an abusive relationship.
Exactly.
But for some reason, it's tolerated when it comes to children.
Yes. If my mom were to, let's say my mom doesn't spank, but let's say she did. Let's say she was watching my kids and she decided to spank my kids. If I go and slap her, who's in the wrong here?
Society says you.
Society says me. And that she gets off scot-free and they would defend her. My mom doesn't spank.
Right.
I think she spanked me a very small handful of times.
Yeah.
But then even she started disagreeing with it because she was like, what is this teaching her?
Right. That was how my mom was too.
Yeah. And like, I'll get angry at my kids for something. And in those moments, I have thought to myself, I can understand why somebody would feel the desire in this moment of this anger to hit their kids.
It would.
But I know it's wrong.
Yeah. Well, and I can also see when you're so frustrated, you just want whatever the behavior is to stop immediately because you are feeling chaotic. And you want it to stop immediately and whatever I have to do to get it to stop. Yeah. And I know a lot of times when people do hit their kids immediately stop because now they are probably, one, afraid, two, in pain. And 3, shamed.
Shamed. Yes, that's the big thing.
So I get that it does stop the behavior, but I don't think that I think it only stops it temporarily, and I think it causes more issues. And a lot of studies have actually come out about this. And I think as we progress in this world, it will become like smoking when you're pregnant being good for you.
Yeah. It'll be...
Now people look at that like, no, absolutely not. You should not. I think eventually we'll get there.
I would love to see it completely made illegal.
Yeah.
Honestly, that would be like, I will applaud anybody who, like politician-wise, and is like, I want to make spanking illegal. Mm-hmm. Depending on who you are, you might have my vote. We'll see what your other policies look like.
Yeah, what your other views are.
But that one thing behind you there, just because in every other situation, it's bad.
Right.
You hit a dog, it's bad. Mm-hmm. You hit a cat, it's bad. Mm-hmm. There is no other situation in where hitting somebody is considered a good thing.
Right.
Or considered a positive reinforcement. Mm-hmm. Unless we're talking about children. And most people will agree that it is not positive reinforcement. But there are still some people out there that's like, this is a good way to do it. Or they'll see a video of like a gentle parenting or whatever, respectful, whatever you want to call it, like the accurate way to call it, of them, showing their kid having a meltdown and how they handle it. Mm-hmm. And people will comment and be like, that kid just needs a good smack.
Yeah.
Like, clearly what this person did worked.
Yeah.
The kid is calm. They learned why their behavior was bad.
Yeah. And through repetition, I feel like it takes more work to not hit your kid.
Oh, it is 100% harder.
Yeah.
But that's what makes you a better parent for doing it that way. Why are you defaulting to the easiest thing that involves violence?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is that's what it is. You are, I see it as lazy parenting.
Yeah.
You are going to the thing that is going to get you the results that you want the fastest, no matter what it does.
Right.
If there are studies to conclude that it is actually harmful, and you know that those are out there, and you still choose to do it, I'm sorry.
And I think for like those who do spank and then maybe come across these articles or come across a podcast, and hear that it's wrong, I don't think it's ever too late to stop.
No, not at all.
I think it's actually better to catch yourself.
Yes.
And we plan on having this discussion. We had it in our previous podcast, but about saying sorry.
Yes.
To your kids. I think it takes a lot to say sorry because we do society puts this like, you need to be like domineering over your kids and you shouldn't let them see you weak, and I don't think saying sorry is weak at all, but I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But I think saying sorry to your kids is huge.
Yes.
Mess ups happen. People lash out. You're human. If you got angry and you spanked your kid, you are still human. And you can still apologize for that behavior and work to not do that again.
Exactly. And that's where I want to say that, I'm judging you hard if you are somebody who spanks knowing it is bad.
Right.
But I give graces for those that either didn't know or didn't realize or are desperately trying and still struggling. 100% I have graces for you.
Yeah.
I am the same way with yelling. I am still very much trying to control that because I don't like that I yell. I grew up in a yelling household. I mean, like I said, my mom really didn't spank. She yelled more. And so that is kind of more my default.
Right.
I want to applaud my husband 1,000,000 times over. He grew up in a spanking household, and this man has worked so much magic. He has never once spanked our kids. Yet that is his default is that desire. And I have seen it. I have seen him want to and then pull back. And it takes so much strength, but it is worth it.
Right.
When your kid hears that snap of a belt and they think it's funny.
Right. Yeah. Literally. Because most people hear that sound and it's immediate fear or flinch or anxiety or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. There's just different ways to go about it. And they may not be the easiest, and they may make you want to rip your hair out at the end of the night.
Yeah.
But I just could never bring myself to do it.
I can't either. It's wrong. In
Michael's
my opinion.
never done it. I've never done it. Before we had kids, both immediately, it wasn't even a discussion for us. We both had been spanked at some point in our life. Mm-hmm. And we were both immediately like, nope.
That's funny. That was not the case in my relationship.
Right, yeah.
Thomas was pro spanking at first. Mm-hmm. By the time we had Anna, because in our house, it defaults to whatever I want. Mm-hmm. Not because his opinion doesn't matter, but because I'm the stay-at-home mom and he's the breadwinner and he's out of the house more often.
Right.
It's easier for us to default to whatever I default to. Mm-hmm. And then he just kind of piggybacks off of that because then he's, the kid's not getting two different parenting styles in the same household.
Right.
And that's kind of why we ended up going with that route. Mm-hmm. And so by the time we had Anna, we had already decided like, okay, we're just going to do mine because I'm not going to spank her. Mm-hmm. It's probably best if you're not spanking her when you're home because then all she's going to see is a mean daddy.
Right, exactly.
She's not going to understand. And he was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And now that they are older and he sees the difference between like when we do lose our shit and we yell at them and we just get angry and we send them to their room versus when we actually sit down and we're like, hey, that wasn't okay. How about we do it this way better next time? And he sees the difference of how much it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Of the immediate regret sometimes that the kid feels.
Right.
And just putting in that extra time. And instead of focusing on, well, I don't want to parent right now. I want to get back to my writing. Mm-hmm. I don't want to stop. I don't want to pause my show. Mm-hmm. Instead, if I just pause my shit, stop what I'm doing, and actually sit down and take 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes. Sometimes it takes a while.
It does, yeah.
They learn. Mm-hmm. They learn.
Right. And we're not talking about instances of like danger. No. If your kid's running into the street, yeah, you're probably going to raise your voice, probably going to chase after them. You're probably going to grab them. Yeah. Without their, you might grab them
so hard that they get a bruise on their arm.
Yeah, like, but you have to keep them safe. Like that's
big difference.
There's huge differences with like safety reasons or like if they're harming another kid and you need to grab them and take them out of there, like you do so. But I still don't think it warrants a SWAT.
No, I can't think of any situation in which it warrants a SWAT.
We're not trying to be super controversial.
It's such a controversial topic,
but I'm just saying my opinion.
Yeah.
I have people in my life who do spank and I am not coming at you. I'm not judging. Maybe I'm judging a tiny bit. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not like, I get it. And like I said before, I think that behaviors can be corrected and apologies can be had and we're human, slip-ups are going to happen. And, especially if you were raised that way, I know a lot of people have the mindset of like, well, I was spanked and nothing bad happened to me or whatever.
But that's
you're continuing the behavior. So there's the wrong part.
Yeah, exactly.
But I still think it's going to be harder for those people because that is what they saw as punishment, and so that is what they're going to do. It's just the generational thing. Like if you saw it, you're probably going to be more comfortable with it. You're probably not going to see a thing wrong with it. But time and time again, studies keep coming out about how it does not end well for the child.
No.
And you will have psychological issues as an adult.
Yeah.
You do.
You do.
Maybe there's a few outliers from that, but I wouldn't say that that's the overall based off these studies.
Yeah. And I hate the whole, oh, well, my mom did it with me and I'm fine. That is I think that is just the stupidest statement I have ever heard in my life because, okay, you think hitting kids is okay. You're not fine.
Well, and it goes for other things, smoking while pregnant. Well, I smoked with my kid. They ended up fine. I didn't put them in a car seat. They were fine. Like, okay, but then studies came out and now you wouldn't do it, right? Or would you?
There are some people that still, I saw a video. I don't know if she was driving, but it was a baby in an infant seat and it was turned around in the middle seat, strapped in. So it was buckled. So this baby sits like that in an infant seat, forward facing.
Okay. That's a choice.
That's a choice.
It's a wrong choice.
It's the wrong choice.
It's a choice.
The video was about this baby's laugh. It was like, oh, look at my baby laughing. But as soon as I realized, I was like, okay, she just turned the thing around. And then I saw the seatbelt. And I was like, and it was through the belt path, which is not a forward, you can't forward face those seats.
Yeah.
They are literally not designed to forward face.
For infants that need to face the rear.
I don't think there's a way to safely forward face those at all because they're not designed for that.
Yeah.
The belt path is for rear facing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, yeah. And so I was like, I couldn't unsee it. And this baby was like maybe 6 months old, if that. And I'm like, oh my God. So people clearly, and people were commenting left and right, being like, that baby needs to be rear facing. I can see the belt path is on there. Mm-hmm. You cannot drive like that. That is incredibly unsafe. And the person didn't care. They were like, this is my baby. Mind your business. And it's like, as soon as you know something is wrong, as soon as you have been told, you don't get to play the ignorant card.
Right.
Because I can feel graces for those that don't know what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
If you grew up in a situation where you were taught that spanking is the way to go, and you have never been informed of any other way to do it, ignorance kind of helps you in that, because it's like, as soon as you realize though.
Right. That's when the behavior needs to start to change. And
if you choose not to, you are actively choosing to do something you know is harmful for your kid.
Right.
I have no graces for you at that point.
Yeah.
I have no sympathy for you.
Yeah.
If your kid grows up to hate you someday, you deserved it. Point blank, period, end of story. Like,
yeah.
Ugh. And, you know, like I said, my husband, he is a perfect example. That is like I've witnessed the type of spanking that his mother did. It was violent spanking, angry, like gripping onto their clothes and like hard.
Jeez,
I saw it. And it was not even her biological child. It was one of her technically foster kids. I saw it. I saw the bruise that she had on her butt. Because she bare butt spanked.
I just don't have that in me.
And I have watched Thomas see that and not bat an eye. So he grew up with that.
Right. Because to him, it's just, yeah.
I'm like, well, she shouldn't have done it. She shouldn't. And it was like Pop-Tarts were in her room or something.
Jeez.
I'm pretty sure she was like hiding Pop-Tarts under her pillow or something. And it was like, so it wasn't even worth it. It was something so small.
Right.
And I have physically seen that with my own eyes. I have seen Thomas not even bat an eye at that shit. And he can do it. I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
I wanted to just like run up to her and round kick Mariah in the face. And just like hold this little girl and just be like, no.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't my place.
Right.
I was like 17 at the time and was like, oh my God.
Right.
She was like 8, 9 years old.
Right.
And was just getting like beat to shit out of discipline.
And at that point, it's just punishment.
That is. That's not discipline anymore. Yeah. That is like, you pissed me off and I want to hurt you.
I just, thinking about my kids, like imagining them in my head and imagining like me having to get angry enough to actually want to hit them.
I can't imagine that either.
Because it's like...
And to not face immediate regret.
Right.
Regret, not egret. Whatever.
Well, you know what egret is a bird. Flash on screen. Yeah, I don't have that in me. And like we've said, my mom spanked me when I was little. I remember she spanked me like a handful of times. She said that it wasn't really working and she didn't feel good about it. So she stopped. And so I just grew up the rest of my time like, okay, we don't do that. We don't hit.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, why would I hit my kids?
Yeah.
So I don't.
It's possible to change. It is possible. It is not too late. I don't care if you've been spanking your kid for 10 years. Stop today. Last day.
Yeah.
Just decide.
Yeah.
It is that simple to just be like, you know what? You're right. Do some research. Look it up. Figure out what the studies say.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility as a parent to do the research and figure out what is best for your child based off of evidence.
Right.
If you go just based off of, well, I was fine, that's not good enough.
Right.
Especially because you cannot raise your kids the way that your parents did, because that was a completely different world.
Right.
Completely different world with different societal norms and stuff.
I don't want everybody out there thinking that we just think that we're the best parents in the whole entire world and that we don't do anything wrong and blah, 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 blah. That's not true. We fuck up all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And I'm not just saying that to say that. Like, I do it all the time. I am an active parent who tries to do better all the time.
Mm-hmm. And parenting is not easy.
And parenting is not linear.
It is not.
It's a roller coaster.
Very much so.
So I don't want anybody to just be out there just like so upset because maybe they're hearing this for the first time or something. Like, it's okay, if you didn't know these things. And I just try better.
Try better. Exactly.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about being a parent is when you mess up, say sorry, move on, do better next time. So I'm sorry if you guys are upset or offended by what we said. That was not our intentions. However, this kind of stuff needs to be talked about more because both sides are just as important. Mm-hmm. And it needs to be a conversation so that things that are wrong stop and that we can move forward as a society and be as close to being on the same page as possible.
Yeah, I agree. We just all got to do our best.
I really do.
Try better, talk with other moms, do research, just, maybe what you're doing isn't the best or maybe what you're doing is better than what they're doing, Yeah. Just have those conversations because I think that's how we become better parents. We were created, we were supposed to be a village.
We were.
And we've lost a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so I think you can gain that by reaching out to other moms, other families, other parents, and we can just all learn from each other and figure it out. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of a heavy topic. We will have a lighter one next week. Yes. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll have a lighter one next week. Hopefully.
And hopefully you stick around because, just because we have one opinion that differs from yours, if that's the case here, mm-hmm. doesn't necessarily mean that every opinion is going to be different. It just means that, this is one that we feel, pretty seriously about. Just mm-hmm. like if you are upset by it, you obviously feel very sincere about it. Right. And maybe it's worth the conversation, not necessarily with us, but maybe with somebody close to you who might have a similar opinion.
Right. So I think that wraps it up, and make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you still want to subscribe now.
Yes. Share this with a friend. And